Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Tom's Gadget Garage. Today I am out here on the Hiboy Max Pro and we're going to be doing a little bit of a first impressions ride out here in the Tempe Town Lake area. Ultimately going to see what this scooter is all about. Now this is a single motor, budget friendly commuter scooter that's currently priced at around $679. And so for that you get a scooter with 500 nominal watts of power, which can also crank out 650 watts of peak power. Now during our ride today, we will be cruising around various bike paths, and we will have a little bit of a hill climb test along the way, which will see us taking this scooter up a 12% grade, so we'll see how this thing handles it. Now this particular scooter does have 3 drive modes, Eco, Drive, and Sport. I'm gonna go ahead and pull over for a second, put us into Eco mode, see how fast that takes us. I'm gonna go ahead and double click the power button here. We're officially in Eco, and throttles all the way in. And this is gonna take us on a little bit of a leisurely pace. Okay, so right now I'm showing 11 miles an hour, which is what I'm showing on GPS as well. And so if you're looking to get the 46 miles of theoretical range that Hiboy claims, well, if you ride around in this mode, you're gonna be more likely to get to that number, assuming you weigh 165 pounds. Now for today's ride, I do weigh in at 200 pounds, plus about 5 pounds of gear, so 205. So I doubt we'd be able to get that, and for today's ride, we're definitely not gonna be riding around in Eco, that's for sure. So I'm gonna go ahead and double click the power button. That'll put us into drive mode. Definitely feel a little bit more power and acceleration. Let's see what that takes us to. All right, right around 16 miles an hour for drive mode. And I'm gonna go ahead and pop us into sport mode, so I'll double click that power button again, hit the throttle, a little more power this time, and that should take us to 22 miles an hour, which is the claimed top speed for this Hiboy Max Pro. And right now I see 22 on the screen. GPS is catching up. GPS is showing about 20, 21 miles an hour, so not too shabby. All right, we're gonna go ahead and cross over the pedestrian bridge. Now, one nice thing about this scooter is the fact that it's relatively lightweight at 53.6 pounds. I actually threw it on my commercial scale this morning, so just below what you would get, with a scooter like the 9bot Max G3. Looks like we've got lots of people out and about today. This bike path is pretty messed up because we've had some pretty epic rains over the last 3 days, so we're gonna take it slow coming through here. This here is normally well paved, and as you can see, they've had quite a bit of flooding coming through here. So if you've watched my content for a while, you'll know that I often come over here to give folks a nice view of the city at night, and this whole area that I would normally do that in is completely flooded right now. So yeah, water level is definitely high. But anyways, this scooter is by no stretch of the imagination an off-road scooter. But what's nice is that it does have a full suspension. So it's got coil spring suspension up front, as well as dual coil spring suspension in the rear. Now you wouldn't know it by looking at the scooter, from the outside, but in the rear you do have 2 coil springs that are built into the deck. As you can see here, it was a little hard to get a picture of it. But that is also going to help absorb some lumps and the bumps in the road. And I will say, although the suspension doesn't have a lot of travel, it is relatively comfortable for smaller bumps. There is definitely some travel in there. It's a little bit springy, but it's definitely miles above and beyond a scooter that doesn't have a suspension. So that's definitely going to help out from a comfort perspective. In addition to that suspension, we also have 11-inch tubed pneumatic tires, which is really nice because a lot of times, especially in this price category, you get 9 or 10-inch tires. So having 11-inch tires is going to give you much better ability to go over lumps and bumps in the road. Plus, they're nice air-filled tires, none of the solid tires that some of these more budget-friendly scooters have. Now, earlier I mentioned that Hiboy claims this scooter can get up to 46 miles of theoretical range, and that mileage is coming out of a 48-volt, 14.5 amp-hour battery, which is good for 696 watt-hours of capacity, which is a pretty decent size battery for a scooter at this price point. And another important thing to call out is the fact that it is UL certified, and so that's going to be really important for folks looking for some extra safety certifications on their scooter. And what I like about Hiboy is they actually put the UL certification sticker on their scooters with the registration number, so you can easily verify and validate that information. But anyways, yeah, I mean, today we're cruising around mostly in sport mode. We'll see what kind of mileage we get out of it, but I will be doing a dedicated range test here in the coming weeks. Now, one thing this scooter doesn't have is a kick plate, and if you've followed my content for a while, you'll know that I love kick plates on scooters. So with this particular device, you will be riding, you know, a little bit more flat-footed. But the good news is there's plenty of room on this deck. You know, it's got a good length and width to it, so you shouldn't have any issues with foot position. So something I want to call out that I think is important is the brake layout on this scooter. So normally on these electric scooters, your rear brake is on the left-hand side, your front brake is on the right-hand side. It's actually switched on this scooter. It's very similar to the setup on an e-bike. And you know, that could be a little bit confusing. Now, the interesting thing about that is here on my right hand, you know, I'm using my thumb for the throttle here. You know, and if I have to hit the brakes, you know, I have my hand here on the left, which is the front, which is a little bit unusual. So if you do have to come to an abrupt stop, you definitely want to make sure you're using that rear brake, which is right here on the right-hand side. You know, speaking of brakes, this scooter does have drum brakes, which aren't going to have, you know, the bite or stopping power as disc brakes. But they are going to reduce the likelihood of you going over those handlebars because, like I said, they don't have that same amount of bite. But so far, the drum brakes seem to be pretty sufficient. But, you know, as we make our way further ahead, we'll do a little bit of a brake test to kind of give you an idea of how these things function. Looks like we got some water. We're going to avoid that. You know, speaking of water, the scooter does have an IPX4 water resistance rating, so it can withstand, you know, things like light splashes and stuff like that, but it's by no means going to be well suited for riding around in rainy conditions. Not that I recommend you do that on any scooter. When it comes to portability, like I mentioned, this scooter does weigh 53.6 pounds. And as you can see from the picture here, it does fit in my trunk quite nice. I don't have to fold down the seats or any crazy stuff like that. Just throw it in the trunk and I'm good to go. You know, obviously this thing does have a collapsible stem, and the folding mechanism is pretty robust. I don't have any concerns. I've ridden many scooters with this same type of mechanism on it. No issues to report on that. It does latch into the rear fender, and it is kind of spring loaded, so you got to lift that up and latch it into place. And I found that, you know, that holds very well. And it makes it much easier to transport this scooter. You just fold that stem down, pick it up, and you're good to go. Now, going back to the battery for a little bit, the display here does give us battery bars, and it looks like there's 5 battery bars. 3 are in green, 2 are in red. You know, so far we've gone about 7 miles on this ride, and we still have 5 out of 5 battery bars remaining. There is no voltage or percentage readout on the display itself, but you can go into the Hiboy app and it will give you your battery remaining in the form of a percentage. So we'll see how accurate that is. Generally speaking, I like to see voltage meters on my scooters because that's ultimately going to be the most accurate representation of what's actually left in your battery. So I'm going to get us turned around. This here, folks, is going to be our 12% grade, and we're going to do this from a stop. I've got us in sport mode, and yeah, basically all the settings are default, and we're going to start this in 3, 2, 1, go. Throttle's all the way in. We are putting along. Display showing 6, 7, so we're slightly accelerating. GPS is showing about 5 or 6 miles an hour, so, you know, we made it up this, no problem at all. I'm going to go ahead and get us turned around here for a moment. And coming back down this, I'll go ahead and show you what the brakes look like. So these are the drum brakes, and even on this decline, we can come to a complete stop, no problem at all. So we'll come down here. We're going to try going up this hill again, but in drive mode. We'll see if drive will do the trick for us. So I'm going to get turned around. I'm going to go ahead and double click on this power button, eco, drive, there's drive, and let's test it out. Okay, we're able to make it up in drive as well. Seems like we're slowly accelerating. About 4 miles an hour. Not too shabby. Okay, we made it up in drive. So like I said, 500 nominal watt motor can crank out 650 peak watts, which is not the, you know, most amount of wattage. You know, I test a lot of these single motor scooters with 900,000 plus watts, And with this, 650, no problem at all. I'm gonna go ahead and drop us into eco mode. Now this will be a little bit of a stretch. I doubt we're gonna be able to make it up in eco mode, but we're gonna try it anyways. All right, here we go, eco mode. Throttle's all the way in. All right, it was a little slow to start, but we are picking up speed. Showing about 4 miles an hour. So eco mode, if you have to go up an incline and you want to save some juice, you can absolutely do that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get us turned around and hop us back into sport mode. So as you can see, from a hill climbing perspective, 12% is not going to be a problem. And that's with me weighing in at 200 pounds plus about 5 pounds of gear. Now, Hiboy does claim that this scooter will go up inclines up to 20 degrees. Now, if you're not familiar with the conversion of degrees to percent grade, all you got to do is take out your fancy calculator and you hit the tan button, the tangent button, dial in 20, and that's going to give you 0.36. That comes out to a 36% grade. I 100% can guarantee you this scooter isn't going to be going up any kind of 36% grade. It's just absolutely not a possibility, even with a 165-pound rider. Now, could it make it up a 36% grade with no rider on it? Probably, yeah, absolutely. But with a rider on it, I don't think so. Another little incline here. Throttle's all the way in sport mode. And we made it up, no problem. And look at that, we actually lost a battery bar, so we're 4 out of 5, and we're just above 9 miles at this point. So I did say I was gonna test out the brakes, and this is the perfect little area to do it. So right now we're cruising around at about 20 miles an hour or so. At least that's what I see on the screen. I think GPS is 18 or 19 miles an hour. We're gonna go ahead and hit these brakes in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, I mean, it gets us to a stop. It's not going to be as quick or bitey as a scooter with disc brakes. All right, we're going to try that again in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, I mean, it gets us to a stop. So that's pretty much what I would expect out of a scooter with dual drum brakes. All right, so we're going to ride on through here. Kind of got this tiled riding surface. We'll see how it feels. You can feel some of the vibration come through, but those tires and suspension are taking the edge off. We're gonna go up this little circular hill here. Always fun to go up this when I'm out here. And here we go. And we made it to the top. Nice little water area out here. Always a pleasure coming out. Anyways, I do feel a little bit of regenerative braking in this scooter. So I can definitely feel that motor slowing us down a little bit. Now there is no adjustment on there, and you can't like summon the regenerative braking with any kind of levers or anything like that, but you can definitely feel it, especially when you lift your thumb off of that throttle. It's very subtle. All right, so we're gonna take a look at the granularity of throttle control on here. So I'm gonna push this throttle in a little bit. Okay. We're able to maintain speed, push it in a little bit more, a little bit faster, a little bit more. It's gonna give us a little bit more speed. So that's what I like to see. You've got granular control over the throttle on this scooter. It's not all or nothing. And that's going to be really important, especially if you're going to be riding around in the city. You want to have nice granular control of your power output, and you have it. Now I will say, this throttle is very plasticky feeling. You know, it's got kind of a cheaper feel to it, but it's got really good response. So I don't have any complaints with the throttle, other than it would be cool if this was made of a little more robust material, but whatever. I mean, it gets the job done, so no complaints there. I'll hop off here, give you a quick look at this scooter. There's another view of it. What I like about this is that it's got a nice low profile to it, you know, and it's not a super flashy scooter that's gonna grab a bunch of people's attention. And so that's pretty nice, very low-key setup on here. You see that white strip there? That is a lighting strip, and so with this scooter, if you just hit the power button, that'll turn on the headlights. I don't know how well you're gonna see it, it's daytime here, but we've got a headlight there. You've also got brake light back there, and then as you can see, you've got some LEDs. Now they don't look that impressive right now. They just, you can see the individual LEDs. They're red, but riding around at nighttime, that'll be a lot more visible. And of course, you've got that on both sides of the scooter. There's no turn signals or anything like that on here. So if you are going to be riding around, I would say use hand signals, but you just got to be careful with taking your hands off the handlebars on scooters. But anyways, I'll go ahead and turn that off. And yeah, we'll go ahead and continue on our journey. As I mentioned earlier, this is a very nimble scooter. So it's very easy to carve on this and throw this thing around. And so if you're gonna be riding around in, you know, tighter spaces, you can absolutely do that with this scooter. And that's one of the things that I like about these more budget-friendly scooters, is that a lot of times they're a lot of fun. You can get a lot of fun out of these things for the price. And so, you know, it's not gonna be the most powerful scooter in the world, but if all you're looking for is a commuter solution and you don't have any kind of crazy hills, I mean, this is gonna get the job done, no problem at all, and you're gonna be able to have some fun while doing so. We'll go ahead and ride out to the end of this path here, and then we'll turn around and head back to our starting point. If you're curious what acceleration looks like, I'm gonna slow down to a stop, and I'm gonna go ahead and gun it here. So we're picking up speed at a nice leisurely pace. Not gonna break any acceleration records here. But it eventually does get up to speed, and there we go. Display is showing 22, GPS is catching up. I'm showing about 20 miles an hour or so. So perfect speed for a little city commuter scooter. Quick little update, we officially lost our second battery bar, so we're now at 3 out of 5 bars remaining. And that happened right at around 12.25 miles. So I'll hop into the app here in a second and see what that translates into in terms of percentage battery remaining. All right, folks, so according to the app, we have 60% battery remaining. So we're gonna start heading back. It says we've been riding for about an hour, and we have been riding for an hour, so that makes sense. The mileage, 8 mile, I'm not sure what that is, because according to GPS, we're at 12.38 miles. So I have a feeling that it's just not updating in real time that mileage. So, you know, we'll see what it looks like at the end. But that's why I always track these rides with GPS. That way we have a nice, accurate, and consistent way to track these rides. So far, very happy with this scooter. Very comfortable little ride. You know, it just comes to show, like, you don't have to break the bank to get a nice riding scooter. On some of my past videos on different scooters, you know, one of the questions I get is, you know, can you add a seat to whatever scooter I'm reviewing at that moment? This scooter, you absolutely can. So it doesn't come with a seat, but it does have an area in the rear of the deck where you can slide a seat post into. And so they actually sell a seat for this, so if that's what you're into, you know, you can absolutely do it. Go ahead and cruise on through here on this tiled surface. And this suspension's definitely making this a lot more comfortable than it would be without a suspension. Here's a funny bike lane. If you don't pay attention, you plow into one of these little curb things here. Train tracks. Suspension does a good job with those. And we'll hook a right over here. I think our bike lane disappears coming through here. Good news is there isn't much in the way of traffic this morning. Everybody still seems like they're still sleeping. All the bike lanes are blocked off for construction here. This is the Mill Avenue area. Oh, completely blocked off. Let's cut through here. There we go. Quick little update, we're now at 2 out of 5 battery bars remaining, and we're just shy of 18 miles so far. Now up ahead, I think we'll have another little hill climb area. I always get turned around when riding around this area. But I believe, yep, there it is. So that is even steeper than a 12% grade, significantly steeper. Now granted, we're at the bottom end of our battery, but we're gonna try it for fun anyways. We're already out here, so why not? And here we go, folks. Throttle's all the way in. It's pushing, it's pushing. Are we gonna make it? You know, this is not too shabby, but anyways. Yes, it made it up some way there. If we had a full battery, I don't think we'd have any issue with that. So that's significantly steeper. So I'll be excited to see how this does on our extreme hill climb test. Look at that, that's a funny shaped building. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Check it out, it's like an upside down pyramid. Council chambers. Pretty cool. Well, with all these roads closed and bike paths closed, we have no choice but to ride around here. We'll go ahead and hook a left up here. And I think we're headed in the right direction now. You know, for this kind of riding in a city like this, where you don't have high speed limits, and yeah, I mean, this is perfect. This is the perfect scooter for a city like this. All right, so we officially lost another battery bar. So on our last battery bar, that happened right around 20.25 miles. And yeah, we've been riding around for about an hour and 31 minutes, folks. So I'm gonna go ahead and get turned around here. And we're gonna head back to the glorious parking garage from where we started this journey today. You know, even though we're at the bottom of the battery, we're still able to maintain a pretty decent pace at about 18 miles an hour. All right, we're gonna finish off this ride with a nice little ride up to the parking structure. Even though we're at the bottom of the battery, we're making it up this ramp. A little bit slower, but still making it up nonetheless. Still got some juice remaining. And we made it up. One other feature that I want to show you real quick is cruise control. So you can actually hit this power button 3 times. 1, 2, 3. That's going to engage cruise control option. So you'll see that blinking on the screen. Now, when we hop on the scooter and maintain our speed for a few seconds here, we should have cruise control kick in. And there we go. Cruise control is officially locked in. And we're going slow right now. You know, you can always do this at a higher pace, but right now we're maintaining 6 or 7 miles an hour. No problem at all. Scooter's doing all the work for us. If you want to turn that off, you can hit the throttle or pull the brakes, and that'll deactivate cruise control. All right, folks, so there you have it. That was our first impressions ride on the Hiboy Max Pro. And on this particular ride, we got 22.07 miles, and that's with us riding around in sport mode, and we've still got 5% battery remaining. We had an average moving speed of 14.4 miles an hour. We had a top speed of 21.5 miles an hour, and we were cruising around today for approximately 1 hour, 41 minutes. So as you can see, we got pretty solid performance out of this Hiboy Max Pro today. We got solid range at over 22 miles. We were able to climb a 12% grade as well as something a little bit steeper. I will be doing that extreme hill climb test in the future, so stay tuned for that. The suspension does a decent job of absorbing a lot of the lumps and bumps in the road, even though it doesn't have the most travel out there. And overall handling is solid on this scooter. So if you are interested in picking one of these up, I will include an affiliate link as well as any available coupons in the description below. And let me know if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, concerns. Happy to address those. And if there's something in particular that you'd like to see me test out in the future, let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for tuning into Tom's Gadget Garage. We'll see you next time.